In this video, we're going to go over while loops. So what even is a loop? A loop is just a chunk of code that's going to run over and over again until a certain condition is met. So let's start off with a simple while loop. We're going to write the word while, and then a pair of brackets, and then parentheses. Inside this bracket here, we're going to put a condition that's going to be used to determine when to stop the loop or when to continue. So let's write some simple logic here. Let's make an integer called sum. Make it equal to 0. We're going to run this loop while sum is less than 5. And then inside the loop, let's just do sum plus equals 1. So now when this program runs, it's going to initialize sum to 0. It's going to hit this line. It's going to say, well, sum is less than 5. So right now sum is 0. It's going to say this is true. It's going to run the loop. Once it runs the loop, it's going to add 1 to sum. Once it hits this closing bracket of the loop, it's going to go back up here and check the condition again. So every time this loop runs, for every iteration, it's going to check the condition. And then once this condition is false, it's going to break out of the loop and continue on with the program. In this case, it'll just exit the program early because we got nothing else going on here. So let's add a print statement. And let's just print out sum to see what sum is going to be equal to by the end of the loop. Let's do Control F5, and you can see that 5 is being printed out to the console. Let's do one more example. Let's run this in the debugger now to see how the program actually works and see the data inside of it. So to run the debugger, we're going to click on the sidebar here to make a breakpoint, and then we're going to press up here, local debugger. Now it's going to run and stop at this first breakpoint here, and we can see that we have a variable called sum. Down here we can see all of our variables. Let's go through the program now and see what happens. Up here, let's click the step into or step over function. Either or right now, they don't really matter. So let's click it to see where it goes next. Next, it's at the top of the while loop. Here it's going to check the condition. So down here we can see sum and the value. Let's make these a little bit closer so we can just see them easier. We're going to run this loop now. We're going to keep pressing step over until we break out of the loop. So the first time it runs, and you can see the yellow arrow to show which line it's on, it's going to add 1 to sum, and we can see sum is updated, and we can keep running it. 2, 3, 4, 5. After this line runs, sum's going to equal to 5. And we can see we're at the bottom of the loop now. It's equal to 5. It's going to go back up here and check the conditions. Let's do step over again. Now it's going to be checking this condition one more time. And we can see that 5 is not less than 5. Now because this condition is false, and you can actually hover over it in the debugger and it should tell you, yeah, and it says sum less than 5, it's false. So because this is false, it's going to break the loop here, and we're going to skip down to the bottom and print out this line here. So we're going to do step over, and it goes down to the next available line, which is right here. And then once we step over this, we print 5 to the console. We use while loops when you don't need your code to run at least one time. That means that this loop can run 0 or many times. If we were to change this variable to, let's say, 6, which now makes this false because 6 is not less than 5, it's just going to print out sum, and sum is going to be equal to 6. Let's do Control F5, and we can see 6. The loop did not run. If we try to put a debugger statement here, and we just do F5, which is the debugger, we can highlight this, and right away it's false. We're not going to go inside the loop, so when we press step over, it's going to skip it and go to print, press skip over again, and then we get 6. So that's a very simple overview of how loops run. We'll get into more complex examples later on.